Was Hitler a drug addict? There is footage of Hitler at the 1936 Berlin Olympics that was featured on a Joe Rogan podcast, where Hitler does appear to be tweaking out. Whether this footage is sped up or doctored somehow, it's unknown. But it does show a Hitler who at the very least is showing signs of anxiety. Could it be from the excitement of watching his athletes compete? Or is it health and drug related? Potentially both. Despite Hitler being head of Nazi Germany, which espoused physical and mental excellence for the so-called Aryan race, Hitler himself had serious health issues. Well before World War II in 1914, when drafted for the Austrian military, he was actually turned down due to lack of fitness. In the summer of 1914, he asked for and received special permission to enlist as a German soldier. During World War I, he would suffer a wound to the leg from a shell blast, and in 1918 experienced temporary blindness from a British gas shell. It's unknown how this affected his health long term, but it is known he struggled with health problems throughout his time as leader of Nazi Germany, and he would end up taking a lot of drugs during this time. Hitler first addressed much of his health in a very reasonable way. In the 1930s, Hitler gave up smoking and stopped drinking alcohol. He also adopted a mainly vegetarian diet, completely going off meat and fish from 1942 onwards. His lifestyle was in part psychologically driven. He oddly enough had a concern for animal suffering, but he also had many physical ailments which restricted his diet. He had irritable bowel syndrome, skin lesions, and several heart and blood pressure issues that gave him headaches and fatigue. There's also the famous speculation Hitler had no sex drive and one testicle. This is allegedly supported by medical records from his time spent in Munich prison in 1923. On top of these illnesses, Hitler likely suffered from Parkinson's disease. Early in the war, Hitler's mild tremors were noted by his doctor Theo Morell, who diagnosed his tremors as stress-related. In the final years of the war, the tremors would be diagnosed as shaking palsy, Parkinson's disease. Symptoms were further confirmed by other physicians to see Hitler in his last years, including Dr. Uns Gunther Schenk. Hitler's tremors are famously shown in the last footage of him outside his bunker in Berlin, where he's awarding youth defending the city in the spring of 1945. Film of his left hand shaking was actually cut out from the original footage, but the cut material was found in an East German film laboratory in the 1970s. Parkinson's can not only affect the body, but the mind as well, and stress is known to accelerate the illness. In July of 1944, Hitler suffered from ruptured eardrums as a result of a bomb explosion during an assassination attempt against him. 200 wood splinters were removed from his legs. In 1945, the last year of the war, I'd further imagine the realization of his country being destroyed by the Soviets worsened his declining health. Hitler's personal doctor, Dr. Theo Morell, was said to have prescribed upwards to 90 different medications to Hitler during the war years for his various ailments. It's known Hitler consumed amphetamine, barbiturates, opiates, and cocaine. Cocaine was used to soothe Hitler's throat and clear his sinuses. It's certainly possible Hitler used cocaine before many of his famous speeches. The most noteworthy drug Morell put Hitler on was vitamultine, a preparation containing glucose, vitamins, and sometimes the methamphetamine, Pervitin. The Nazi Party largely ignored drug addiction as an illness, and drugs like Pervitin were frequently given to soldiers. There is significant evidence of widespread state-sponsored drug use for German soldiers during World War II, though this often gets sensationalized, like this famous meth-infused Panzer chocolate bar, which is an internet creation. It should further be noted militaries around the world experimented with stimulants during World War II. Benzodrine was most popular with allies, particularly British pilots flying exhausting hours. Alright, I'm Johnny. Thanks for watching this video on the health of a madman. I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Feel free to like and subscribe to support the channel. And don't do drugs, or you could end up like Hitler.